Attention, please.
Yo. 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 Yo.
What is going on, everyone? It is David Palmer, Leo King, and welcome to your inspirational astrology horoscope for the solar eclipse in Virgo happening September 21st, 2025. Thanks so much for being here, and thanks for being a part of highvibe.tv. And of course, we're all here to illuminate the collective consciousness. It's good to be with you. Make sure that you are a part of highvibe.tv. It is, of course, the Bomb Spiritual Network with all the awesome astrology where we go super deep, all the shows, and of course the best app. And also check out Hypergate AI, massive new update. I'm pushing to GitHub this weekend, and Jim and I have a lot going on with that. It's going to be bad. Nobody is ready for that stuff yet. People will be mind blown over these next 2 months with it, but just even the refresh that's coming out in the next week, you guys will love it. Also, of course, I am out for readings again. It's been a couple years I took off on readings. There's still some slots left. Make sure that you go to highvibe.tv and you click on readings there. Everything's, of course, at highvibe.tv, or check my link tree, which is on my YouTube or my Instagram. This is some eclipse. I got to tell you, it's not, this is definitely, and I've done this a long time, especially on YouTube. You know, we're getting up to 15 years on YouTube, right? It's kind of scary. Me doing these dailies and doing these weeklies and doing these deep astrologies and all these things for so long. And I got to say, this is the eclipse that is the critical mass. Now there's a couple critical mass moments, but this is you got to see a little bit of what is possible in the world. This is the one that is the 6 months that will be the bumpiest ride in the universe. Now, it's nothing to be scared of, but it is, I'm calling this the quantum fate eclipse. So I know some people might be like, what? The quantum fate eclipse? Yeah. There's so many Yods building up into this eclipse. It is, of course, a new moon solar eclipse at 29 degrees of Virgo. We already had a new moon in Virgo to start Virgo off with. This one's auspiciously in a grand trine with Pluto-Uranus, but intercepted by sign in a massive kite with the opposition of Saturn-Neptune that are both intercepted, conjunct, but not in the same sign. It's all in between worlds, to say the least. Of course, the helioastrology of this eclipse is just so massive at the same time too. I will say that this one, of course, says Mars, that's at the anaretic degree, and we'll be showing this, of course, in the chart, but Mars at 29 degrees of Libra in its detriment, in intercept, square to Pluto and Aquarius, right? Just 2 degrees from squaring. And then it's coming into Scorpio just 12 hours after the eclipse. I mean, it's like, wow, like this is a lot happening. Mercury just made its ingress into Libra, and Venus, of course, just made its ingress into Virgo. And all of these planets are creating these inconjunctions with the outer planets. So not only do we have like big squares going on, but we have massive inconjunctions that are creating Yods, that are creating this kind of quantum fate moment. Then we have an interstellar object and comet all coming into this eclipse. This 6 months it'll be radical, to say the least. The specifics of that I'm going to go through on this video. I just want to preface before we go into this one that Virgo is a grind. It's a grind. This is the South Node eclipse, okay? This is not where we want to be. We are all, I don't care who you are, stressed, up to a point where it's like, I don't know if I can handle it anymore. There's plenty of itches we can't scratch. There's plenty of just irritation. Add inflammation, not good sleep with Mars that's been in Libra here in opposition to Chiron coming into this and on its way to square Pluto as it's making its ingress into Scorpio, right? Like this is not, and then add Venus and square to Uranus. Now, unless you were living back in the 1940s, you know, you've never seen a Venus in Virgo square Uranus in Gemini, okay? So we have to remember that there's a lot here that Mars and Venus are both in square to outer planets. The new moon itself gets some love from the outer planets, but then also makes massive oppositions to Saturn, Neptune, which is the biggest conjunction of the conjunctional astrology that we've been through for the last 5.5, going on 6 years since 2020. With Jupiter, Saturn, Saturn, Pluto, and so forth, and Jupiter, Neptune, Jupiter, Uranus, and all these big conjunctions. The last big one, of course, being Saturn, Neptune, which happens February of 2026. So this eclipse is highlighting everything. The last time we had this exact same eclipse at the same degree was September 22nd of 2006. The one prior to that was in 1968. The year MLK was martyred. So there's even, if you watch History in the Stars that Dr. Ann Wilkie and I did here on High Vibe, you can watch a 2-hour plus video of the craziest history about these 29-degree new moons and new moon solar eclipses at Virgo. They're messes that don't get cleaned up. They can't get cleaned up. So, but they are spiritual moments where we do have to let go of all the frustration, and we do have to find a way to move forward. I do like that all these outer planets are still finally kind of in a good spot for us through these kind of times, but it's like this is the signal that we're going to go backwards still. We're going to go back with Neptune retrograde back into Pisces. We're going to go back, retrograde back, Uranus retrograde back into Taurus. And that's all in this 6 months window, and the stations of both turning direct until we get to the next eclipses, which of course start in Aquarius, where of course Pluto is. I mean, this is not going to be something we've ever experienced before. And you can feel it. I think weird's a good thing, but I think when you think about Virgo, it's Mercury ruled, and it's such a, it really is this feeling of a grind. Not to even forget that the day after this eclipse this weekend, we move into the equinox. And that is an equinox chart that the last time we had an equinox, Libra sun opposite Neptune and Aries, was 6 months into the Civil War, and that was when it finally kicked off, because for the first 6 months after Fort Sumter, they were like, it's not gonna, people just denied it. It ain't gonna be one. 6 months after Fort Sumter, oh, that equinox and that 6 months brought a full-blown Civil War. So, of course, I know we're in the outer transits of Pluto and Aquarius, where we're finally at the degrees where it's like, okay, this is a true revolutionary war, and it is do or die, right? Neptune and Aries at the point to where it started the Civil War. And then, of course, kind of going into the next phase with Uranus and Gemini, which, of course, we're seeing the repeats now in history, kind of now, of World War II. Everything from Poland, right? Like anti-Semitic aspects, people blaming groups of people all over. And at the same time, you're also getting, now, I forgot, I think it was Estonia today, right? With fighter jets that Russia is testing. And now, you know, you don't, if you're living in America, you're kind of in a bubble because you're not really paying attention to like these massive things in Europe. there's so much here, but the thing that really comes to the core spiritually to understand. So let's look at this thing here. Look at the exact eclipse chart, and then we can kind of go forward and back a little bit here. So let's take a look. So this solar eclipse happening September 21st, 2025, 12:54 p.m. Pacific. It'll be 3:54 p.m. Eastern, and that'll be about, I think Greenwich Mean Time is around 7:54 p.m. GMT. But 29 degrees of Virgo, the last degree, anaretic degree, and the second new moon in Virgo. This one happens to be a solar eclipse. Of course, I won't see it. Most of this whole entire world will not see it. It's going to be happening down in Antarctica and like a part of like New Zealand, and I think some of the most like very southern parts of the globe. And ironically for them, that's also them turning into their spring after this. But what also a weird one, because it is right before we switch into the equinox. So it's the opposite of 29 Pisces, which is the end of the zodiac, where we are seeing the midpoint of Saturn and Neptune, which are intercept, because of course they're not in the same sign, but they are conjuncting, so they are next to each other. But there is the most extreme line, right? The line between Pisces and Aries sitting right in between. And it's also where the midpoint happens to be of this eclipse. And so it feels like we are at the end, but we are at the end of the old world, but it's going to take 6 months to get in every nook and cranny. And I think we've reached the point spiritually where you can say, with the way you look at the world, the way that you look at systems, what we've gone through with Pluto and Capricorn that finally finished in November of 2024. Yeah, we're never going back to the way everything was, no matter how much people think, okay, no, things are just going to continue quantum fate-wise, more and more and more like what. And so how do we get through this? Well, let's look at that north node right there. It's in Pisces. Our spiritual courage, with Neptune still in Aries, but it is retrograde, and it is retrograding back into Pisces soon. But it is the dispositor of the north node. And so, one, be focused on the bigger picture. Surrender, of course, is a big one. Because if you're so stressed, you're not going to be able to see anything good, okay? Trying to over fix situations right now, that is the most dumbest thing you could do with all this Virgo and Venus, of course, in Virgo. And Venus is at its fall position here. We do see some pop to that Venus because of Mercury being in Libra, and so that's a mutual interception. Mercury would rather be in Virgo where it rules, and Venus would rather be in Libra, right? So we get that mutual reception. And so we see these two planets actually quite happier than normal. I mean, Mercury at a +6 from it, and Venus, which is in its fall, at +4. And I think that's really interesting that Mercury happens to be the planet that is the one scoring the most points on this eclipse. But I do find that it's more auspicious, again, that the South Node's in Virgo dispositing that. So it's almost like our mind is our great ally and our worst enemy. And not to mention Uranus retrograde in Gemini, which of course we've only been seeing this since July 7th with the direct, and then it went retrograde just like what? I can't even remember now, 3 weeks ago, right? We're seeing the grand trine form from this new moon. Of course, it's all intercept, it's all weird because this is Virgo, an earth sign, mutable, and this is a mutable air sign, and this is a fixed air sign in the grand trine, but they're very close. They're in the approach, but it's a grand trine. The opposition, of course, to Saturn, Neptune, and I think this is where we're going to find a lot more of the way through. But then, of course, we've still got Pluto in sextile to Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus, and then we've been in Yods. They're finishing, of course, so you could just like look back the day prior during the balsamic dark moon that we're still coming into this eclipse, and you can see this Venus Yod, of course, Venus in quincunx to Neptune, the in conjunction of Pluto, Mars, of course, in that too. You could use Saturn and Neptune in the midpoint, and you can use Uranus here, and that's going to get even more intense as it comes into Scorpio. And then, of course, you can use then Venus, Mars there, and then there's Pluto, Venus, Mars, and then there is a Saturn, Neptune to Venus, Mars. Okay, so three Yods, and they're actually even tighter on Friday, and I'm actually recording this Friday, September 19th. Then we have 3A Atlas, which nobody knows what it is. Anybody who says they know what it is, they don't. Okay, we don't know. It's not from here. This new comet Swan, which is super big, looks like it's got a long tail. Looks like it's singular tail. That's positive. The fact, though, that it's going to be exactly on October 29th, the same time that 3A Atlas will be closest to the sun at the same time. What's going on with that? There's too many things here that are really breaking open this world, that the reality we think we live in is not the one that's fully true. And so where we're going to find solace, and I think even more than solace, but find the haven through the discomfort that we're feeling, especially when you mix Jupiter that's exalted in Cancer into this mix, which Jupiter's really not involved. I mean, like, Jupiter is not doing shit in this eclipse. It's really not aspecting. I'm not one to add any kind of asteroid or even just the black moon with an aspect, but Lilith, but don't look at that trine. It really is not doing much, but I think what it is doing is it's holding space. And I think it's holding space for us to realize, like, if the world is not what we ever thought it would be, and we've gotten plenty of info about that for the last 18 years, I would say, especially 19, even the last time we had this eclipse. I think a lot of people woke up 2006. It reminds me of 9 Inch Nails and their tour and having the video of Bush up there, and every day is exactly the same. It was Daft Punk, Coachella, and being in the pyramid. I don't, maybe that's more personal to me, of course, but this is now us waking up that the Matrix isn't what it is, and having your wake up call. Hence, actually, I wonder if I have it here. I wonder if I'll get it for you in a second. That's why it feels so weird. And Pisces here is saying we're going to have to see beyond it and try and understand it. And we're not able to also see it. This is direct opposition to Neptune, direct opposition to Saturn, the midpoint of both too. There's this combo here, and it's very Piscean, and there's some Aries in it. It's very much like you're not going to understand anything right now if you're just going to be stuck in stress. You're going to have to see wider. You're going to have to get over things. You're going to have to be compassionate. You're going to have to surrender, and you're going to have to just, like, where is the universe showing up with things for you that are positive? But you got to be in the place for it. If you're still grinding on the nitty gritty of, I don't like this and I don't like that, especially that Mars is at the end of Libra here, looking for maybe some justification for something or to justify something. And especially with Chiron, that's still in Aries, Eris, and their conjunction and retrograde, right? And at the same time, Neptune in Aries, this Mars is not your best friend right now. It's actually the path to your craziness. Okay? So, and especially with the square to Pluto, it's like, being upset, being angry, trying to find justification. And you're seeing that, right? It's like the Jimmy Kimmel versus Charlie Kirk fucking war. Okay? Relax. Relax. People are losing it. How are we going to do this Pluto and Aquarius thing and figure out how we're going to all come together if, You just are going to pick a side and just attack 24/7. And I think that this is where it's like people need to just chill for a sec. Especially that's what Pisces is. You can't see if you're in a really intense state of stress, right? So like I always use images, and this is very much like this solar eclipse Virgo, right? Like, and I put it where I'm like holding like my chest, like it is very kind of anxiety ridden. And there are these like, who are these weird beings in this weird kind of in between worlds of dark and light? And even, do we even understand what this world is? I mean, that's really what I just wanted to keep it as simple as I could. But if you're stressed or scared of things or upset about things, nothing is going to happen but just that energy doubling down and quantifying a million times over. So you're going to have to learn how to release energy within yourself. Here, there's some beings behind me there, right? This one was cool, but I was like, it doesn't really look like me. Like, yeah, it looks like me. And I didn't put this through my other Topaz Labs Bloom, one of my secrets for AI images. Takes an image like this and makes it look pop like crazy, but I didn't do that. I didn't have time. I'm doing too much right now. But, you know, to me, it's like, where's the wonder? Instead of the fear. Like, where's the wondrous aspects of this life? And you know what? I want to see a world and realize it was all bullshit, because this world does not operate well, and it hasn't. And the whole reason why I even got into this work so long ago was to shift and open and wake up the collective consciousness and join it with other people and join it with the collective itself. To me, this is the eclipse that actually is that. Because the next 6 months, as we come till the next solar eclipse, which will be in Aquarius at 28 degrees, you know, it's going to be very much pulling all these layers off. Now, it's Virgo South Node, so it's like the smallest little dead skin cells that you just happen to get off. But, you know, maybe you could just kind of surrender instead of picking at the scab and picking at every little piece, and just let the thing wash all the stuff off, right? I think at the same time, too, with Venus and Virgo and the square to Uranus, so that's where, let's take a look at that, and let's get back here for a sec here. Right, this Uranus-Venus square, and this Mars-Pluto square. Now remember, Mars spent a long time in the retrograde. When it went retrograde, of course, in Leo at 6 degrees, and then it came all the way back to like, what was that, 18 degrees or something like that of Cancer? And it just stopped there, but it was in opposition to Pluto in Capricorn and Pluto in Aquarius during the retrograde Pluto in Aquarius, and then the direct of Pluto in Aquarius. So it had 3 oppositions, and that was an 8-month journey. This is the first big Mars-Pluto pressure since that opposition. And this is more pressure. This is Mars leaving its detriment, moving into its dignification in Scorpio to square Pluto, right? Pluto would rather be there in Scorpio, but Mars is like, I'm going to stay here. I rule this place before we found you. And so there's when it comes to relationships, how we relate, this is ugly. I'm not going to lie. And so just because you're feeling it now doesn't mean once this eclipse is over and we get to the Libra equinox that it'll go away. It's not going to go away. Your number one task for this one is going, you know what, I fucked up on myself here. I wasn't compassionate enough. I need to be more empathetic. I need to be nicer to myself. I need to find a way to get out of this reality that is causing me so much stress. And really, the reality only runs off stress. It runs off people being like a herd will just, I was saying to Natalie on full disclosure here yesterday on the network, like, it's like the number one news network now is X. Although it's like 4 stories, 5 maybe, and everybody talking about it. Then the other side's on Blue Sky. Same thing. It's really limiting now news, but making you feel like I'm getting more info because, yeah, there's more talking heads about it. But there's so many other stories going on, so many other things. It's like people are like obsessed because the other thing about Virgo is OCD. Now, the true understanding of it means when you can't let something go, a thought, an idea of a person. This room always has to be clean. That's what it always goes to for most people. But actually, OCD is racing thoughts that you can't stop. You can't let go of a situation you went through. So that's where it usually can be trauma-based, or it could connect to other things too. So when you have a South Node eclipse and you have it in Virgo, it's in opposition to this Saturn-Neptune. It's almost like not PTSD. I'm going to call it FT. Yeah, FTSD. Future trauma stress disorder. Like, it's almost like afraid of how the future will go if you let go of your stress. Now, I know that sounds probably stupid, but it's true. It's a lot more addicting. We deal with addictions in Pisces, this North Node Saturn, and Saturn's here to sober us up. Nope, that's not spiritually aligned. So the ultimate part of this eclipse energy with the North Node Saturn, let's just stay there for a sec, in Pisces is, yeah, Saturn's here. It's the intervention. By the way, Saturn has not retrograded at this degree since 1937, meaning when you saw Saturn come into Aries in 68, the same eclipse too, ironically, but it had Saturn in Aries, and right here in 2025, we went into Saturn Aries, but it retrograded back into Pisces. Well, in 68, it didn't come back. In 1996, when Saturn went into Aries, it didn't come back into Pisces. Last time was 1937. So we don't really get this. And adding to that, the opposition to this new moon, it's like part of the addiction is actually the obsessive compulsive physical patterns that we get stuck in and that we don't know how to let go of. A lot of this is about what we can't let go of. When you add Pluto square or the Mars in approach square to Pluto in Aquarius, that's a lot, especially with Mars and Libra but coming and ingressing into Scorpio. Oh yeah, that's I don't want to let it go. I don't want this to fragment. I want to try and get all the pieces and put them all together right now. So there's a lot not going for us. And then talk about fragmentation, Venus and Virgo. I have a certain way that this needs to feel to make me feel good. This is my routine. This is what I expect from everyone. This is what it needs to look like. This is the timing. It needs to be operating a well-oiled machine, or else I'm not going to feel good here. Uranus is like that well-oiled machine is not well-oiled, right? Like the oil's gone, it's rusty, it's actually about to break, it's already been breaking, you already know that. You know it causes you stress, so why don't we actually try and help you look at the facts, change up the environment, get stimulated about things that you're more stimulated about. And this is where the grand trine and the kite energy comes in really powerful, is like a kite, you have to fly a kite. It's not easy to fly a kite when you're stressed, one, and especially because the bottom of this kite is the solar eclipse. Right? So it's like, this thing is not going to fly anywhere. The more you're so focused on this is the problem. Maybe it's not. Maybe there is no problem. Maybe in order for us to solve problems in the world, we need to actually get to the bottom of like, hey, how do I find that beautiful space in my life? How do I find that compassion for myself? How do I move away from what's constantly my own? And this is where our own responsibility comes in with North Node Saturn in Pisces, but also with Chiron and Aries. And this is the final year of it just only in Aries, right? We see it ingress into Taurus next year and then retrograde back into Aries, but at least we start to see it shift. But this one to me is very apparent that it's dispositing Mars, and same with Neptune in Aries. And so it's like really easy to buy this victim still within ourselves. But almost now it's like we dig our heels in more when we feel like things are not justified, things aren't fair, things are not going the way we want to, and it adds to more of these pieces we want to come together, and it creates to where we're at a critical mass where it's like most people are probably like, man, I'm overly stressed about this. I am overly like, I can't let this go. And it's like, go take a fucking walk. Go, and this is where I recommend, and I'm going to recommend things people don't like. Go play a video game. Go watch a movie. Pisces. Go sit in VR for a little bit. Go smell some aromatherapy. Go get an ice cream or a fucking yogurt land and smell the yogurt and eat it with your friends and try the different yogurt and make up a new yogurt on your yogurt land and try it with a different flavor. More answers are going to come to us while we're in that state than the opposite. There is no answer here that is going to come from us sitting on a chalkboard and being like, yeah, so if I do this and I do this and then I get up and I change that and I make this change and I say this and we do that and it's not going to fucking do shit. Now remember, back in 2006, it was September and we had this eclipse, and that was when the housing market was revealed that it was not doing well. And then ironically enough, just 2 days ago, the Fed just dropped the rate a quarter point, 25 base points, and said the housing market is stalled. So I'm not going to sit here and give a financial horoscope, but I think it should be, there is something to say about these 29-degree new moons at Virgo, and of course if they are an eclipse, like the one in 68, there's of course a lot of other ones that go back in time. But what you're seeing too is people have to kind of like, with Neptune, it's the intuition, right? So it's like, if you want something to be a certain way, your intuition is never going to work, right? Because when your intuition's right, you have to get out of your own head that's obsessed with it being a certain way. Like, this is the outcome I want, right? So Pisces is about internal, right? Input. Virgo is output. So we want the output to be a certain way. We're not paying attention to that maybe the input, that intuition right now is seeing writing on the wall. And if you don't like it, you're going to have to learn to be like, you know what? Everything's happening for a reason. Let me have the universe guide me here. This is dealing with Venus and that square to Uranus, so there's fragmentation and all these things and unpredictability, and definitely that affects your money, your relationships. Definitely could be breakups too. Be careful during this time. Don't fall into the trap. It's very easy to fall into this trap of, I think I can make my life better, and that you think that you have figured that shit out, especially when we have Mars that's about to be in square to Pluto. And at the same time, we have Neptune, Chiron, and Eris all dispositing in Mars because they're in Aries. And At the same token, too, Venus and square to Uranus. Like, there is no truth understood yet. Like, yeah, there's a lot of shocks coming and things showing up that make things feel like, wait, what the fuck? But this is like an epic time for you to watch the show, and believe it or not, the back door opens, the stage opens when you never thought it would, when you're in that way more chilled out space. And this is an intervention on, I know Pisces, of course, deals with escapism. The beautiful part on the other side of that, though, is the highest spiritual frequencies and the highest vibration. I mean, this is where, believe it or not, the cause of addictions is the stress, right? Well, then what would be the cause of higher vibration? You not obsessed with the outcome specifically, because you would be more surrendered and you would be going in the moment and just accepting, well, this moment's doing this right now. Okay. Because the whole world can change in a blinking moment of an eye. And I think we have to remember that, because, I use the example on High Vibe this week to help people. It's like, there's people out there that, well, I used myself as an example too, but like, we all, every month, especially, I've been a dad now for a couple of years. I got 2 kids, a wife, like a family, and I run High Vibe. I run the studio. It's like I got a lot of people to think about. My family first, all my businesses second, and it is overwhelming. And it's like, how do I fucking pull it off every month? I don't know how, for so long. And I do astrology. But somehow, some way, it always fucking works out somehow. Buy a reading from me. Hey, but it always works out. So it's like, that's our biggest spiritual nugget. It reminds me of The Alchemist, the book. I mean, I'll give away if you haven't read it yet, if you've never read The Alchemist yet, like, I don't know what to tell you. It's about a young boy looking for a treasure. The whole time where he started on this whole journey, it was right underneath his feet the whole time, literally. Right? Like, the greatest treasure for us spiritually right now is we already have it. It's our willingness, it's our participation to say, you know what, I'm not going to keep stressing on this. I'm going to give myself compassion. I'm going to give others compassion. We need to find a way to move forward. That's what Pluto and Aquarius is about. That's what Neptune and Aries wants to redefine things. And even though, we don't know what it's going to look like, but we do kind of have to strip away these personas and actually step into the soul being the persona. And Uranus and Gemini, there's going to be new ways of communication, and then foreign ideas, right? When I say foreign, from up above to whether it's AI to all these things that are also giving other advice, right? We have to include everyone in the group to have their voice in conversation. And it's only in those moments that the treasure we realize is right here. It's not some big journey or some big quest anymore. And Jupiter in Cancer is all about keeping this emotional world in ourselves open to expansion, that there is the journey to better feelings, to safer waters. But you have to vibrationally match that energy, right? So if you're trying to vibrationally match safer energy, or just to feel more comfortable in life, or just not feel the proper English would be to not feel the discomfort so much. And to see the opposite effect of that would be, well, if you're in that discomfort, you're not going to feel that comfort right away. It's only going to be temporary, right? Like, oh, my leg hurts. I'm in a lot of discomfort emotionally. All right, we put morphine in you. Oh, okay. Well, that comes with a cost. There is no instant gratification here. And that's also with the delays of Saturn. And this next 6 months of this eclipse is going to be slow. But it's going to punch hard and get to the bottom of things. And so we're going to have to really Houdini it, right? And not get punched in the stomach and end up like almost dying, right? We're going to have to Houdini it though, right? We're going to have to be the magicians here. We're going to have to trust all of our spiritual energy that we've worked on for so long. Get out of this stressful stuff. Stop being, this is what it needs to look like. And this, once I have this, and once I have that, and once I do this, and once maybe they do that, Venus square Uranus. And once I've gotten to the bottom of this, Mars square Pluto. No, those are not the answers. The treasure's in front of us right now, but there's a lot of slowdown with especially this eclipse in opposition to Saturn and Neptune. But it's about seeing the bigger picture with this solar eclipse and trying to Pluto and trying to Neptune, and trying to Uranus, and then that trine still going on just by them too, but also the great sextile, of course, from both Pluto and Uranus to Neptune, the opposition. These outer planets have been holding the space of this much more farther out, much more like keep your head on the highest horizon of eternity. These Yods that have all been building up, the Yods are stilts, subconscious stilts. And it's pointing at planets, Mars, Venus, Saturn, Neptune. And of course, you look at those sextiles to understand like, oh, those are the little like big stilt, the feet of the stilts that we're walking on with them. And I think because we're at these two inner planets or two local planets, and then of course we have some far out energy, especially with Neptune. But they're both Neptune, Saturn at the edge of the universe here, and at the beginning of it, from the 0 point of Aries. There is this new that we don't understand what new looks like, so stop trying to define it right now. It's more like don't engage with things that don't vibe spiritually. This is the biggest spiritual filtration test of your life. And if you can hold it, and nobody is better than anybody on this one. Right? I think the more confident you feel that I'm going to make it through this one, the more the universe is going to humble your ass. But at the same time, oh, I don't have to worry because I don't need to work and nothing, and this is all bullshit. That'll humble your ass too. It's finding this nice balance, Mars and Libra here, and being able to go, you know what? All right. I know this is the biggest spiritual test. It's not like you need to get all super Virgo and have your phone go off every second and be like, okay, am I stressed? No. But the second you feel that stress, that's where it triggers, what am I not seeing intuitively here? And don't attach the intuition to, is this good or is this bad either? Just what comes up. This is the best way you do cold readings. This is how, if you ever become a medium and you ever do medium work, trust me, this is the only way where you're like, I don't know why, but my dad's coming to me and this memory and this thing and this name and I don't know. Who in the hell is this person, right? Boom. How did you know? That's how mediumship works. You're not judging and you're not pre-calculating what's coming up intuitively. The way that I intuitively also do that with planets. It's just kind of like, okay, let's see where they're at and what comes up. But if you already have the outcome and you're focused on the output of what's going to be the solution, oh boy, is it going to be terrifying to watch people hitting their heads on the fucking wall trying to find a solution. The solution is, how do we all get to this higher frequency and vibration as a collective and no longer do these broken roads, these broken systems, these broken things that don't connect to humanity, and we don't even know what humanity is at this point. Right? Are we seated here from aliens? And this also brings up the whole religious thing. And then the religious thing of kind of like pop culture that's going on, right? Like there's the religions and then there's the pop culture, like obsessed with people. I can't believe this person's being fired, right? And these religious kind of flex wars we're seeing is very much not the answer either. Right? I mean, I'll just give you a Gemini truth for a sec, especially with Uranus here and trying to Pluto. Like all these religions all believe that if you're not in their religion, you're not going to a good place. We'll say that because they all have different versions of what their idea is. I'm not going to pick one religion and say that's their version, because then that's picking one. Right? None of them agree that all people who are good go. None of them. Nope. Through this way only. Very narrow, very Virgo, not Pisces. Remember, ironically enough, where Pluto is right now was the exact degree and the exact time of the Reformation back in 1533. When Henry VIII was like, I don't care if I get excommunicated. Your guys' Bible says, hey, I'm not allowed to marry my brother's wife. You, the church, made me do that when my brother Arthur died. And then I had to take her on and I had to bed her. And then, she won't give me a male heir, right? I know a lot of women will be like, oh my God. You have to understand, though, that back then, that was actually like a sign. That was an omen, right? And that's why the Catholic Church is super superstitious about stuff. And so the idea of becoming the Reformation was like getting rid of a lot of these superstitions. And they would say that it was the Christ of blood, and it was really like duck blood. They were fooling people and then taking your money, and then once you had a baby, you had to go to the monastery, you had to do all that. And then, if you were a hot girl, then a monk or a friar or somebody would be like, sorry, you're not going home tonight. Like it was bad. We still see all that stuff happening today. And I think that people are really desperate looking for a solution. And I just want to remind people that with these huge oppositions to Neptune that we've been seeing, and especially over these last couple of weeks, all these people have been feeling like, you know what? I feel it more than ever. I feel this more than ever. I feel more connected to Jimmy Kimmel than ever. I feel more connected to Charlie Kirk than ever. I'm giving y'all what nobody's saying. Y'all need to check yourself a second here. Make sure you're not in the fucking throes of a Neptune transit that's in opposition during a massive solar eclipse, and that you guys are all freaking the fuck out about it and thinking that there's a lot of positives when on both sides, the dude was vile, Jimmy Kimmel, and fucking Charlie Kirk was a fucking horrible thing with death and shooting and all this shit. And it's martyrdom. And now it's martyrdom in that, right? Like back when MLK, right? The night before MLK got assassinated in 1968, under a lot of the same astrology, he was in bed with 2 other women. He had 40 extramarital affairs. Under the name of pushing. And I'm not trying to talk shit on him or people that are dead or anything. I'm just trying to give a better perspective here. But people need to relax a second. And a lot of people, the scary part with this Saturn Neptune, I'll be honest with y'all, the scary part about it is nobody has a grip on even what is this higher kind of thing pulling them in. And so it's really easy right now, and especially over the next 6 months, to kind of get pulled in. Very culty. And we're seeing the cults of the religions, and we're seeing the cults of media, right? And politics happening, Saturn, Neptune, religion and government. media, and government. So the left has chosen their religion as bow down to the gods that will get me the next gig. Say the thing that everyone else is saying in New York and Hollywood. The right to say everything the church says and try and bring that into a country that was founded by Masons that put their religion like a coat check at the door when they walked in the temple. Okay? This is culty. And it's a quantum fate eclipse, I'm calling it. Now, to remind people, and I'll actually show them through this lens, which I think is probably the best one. 3-eye atlas, the live sky. Yeah. Let's do this one. So let's do this. I'm going to take me out for a second. I'm going to take you. I took people with Ann on this, but I just want for people to think, oh, we're not going to be able to see 3-eye atlas, okay? No. 3-eye atlas wishes it was able to see this Earth conjunction to Saturn and Neptune. Earth. The closest the Earth will be in the conjunction and be right literally in the in-between. This is where the eclipse is happening. Now, if I move it next year to the same spot, let's do September 21st, let's do 2026. When we look at Earth, it's just going to be, Earth, Neptune, right? Coming into the equinox, right? Like Earth, Neptune, right? Saturn no longer, and look at that gap, right? Okay, so I'm using this heliocentric version to make you understand that, 3-eye atlas and Mars, we see them come together October 3rd, right? And this is actually when 3-eye atlas is closest to the sun, October 23rd, right? And so, the sun's going to be blinding it, but this is where it'll be freaking close. Not just close, but Venus, of course, will be able to see this. Mars will. And I think it's interesting because if you go to the 3rd, the conjunction happens from an Earth point of view, but also it's the same time where we start to see 3-eye atlas heliocentrically conjuncting Mars to the sun. And then from Earth point of view, if we go like this and we're back up and go Earth, right? That's the Mars 3-eye atlas conjunction. That's going to be happening at 3 degrees Scorpio. Or sorry, 7 degrees Scorpio. And that's also when Mars comes out of view. We won't see Mars anymore. So, right, like, we've just seen Mars for a year up in the sky, and as it's saying goodbye, 3-eye atlas is taking Mars on a journey. But that's going to be the activation of where things really get weird after this eclipse. October looks like the most wild time I've ever seen, but I look at it like I was just at Disneyland with my kids last weekend, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Although, is it a toad at the end of the day, right? And then, of course, being on the planetary plane here gets more intense, where finally 3 Atlas will be on the same plane as the planets in our solar system. And this is also when that swan, I think we could add a, can we add something here? Swan 2025. Is it the R2 or F2. I think there's a couple of them. I think it's... Oh, yeah. Now, see, traditional comets come up or come out from the top. And right, they don't... No, people. This is what people have to understand about three eyelids. Nothing just comes... I've already shown you all, been the only astrologer that showed you that on January 12th of 2020, it was exactly conjunct 3A Atlas, Saturn, Pluto. Exact. This thing's coming up, and so let's look at the 29th if this is the one, because there's, oh no, this one's going away. Okay, so I think it's going to be that other one. So F2. Oh, I did that one. R2. Swan, R2D2. Oh gosh, my fingers are too big for this. Swan. R2. There we go. Okay, all right. So here's Swan coming in. Now, oh, this is going to be so interesting enough. Swan that came from the Aquarius constellation, but more towards Pisces. I mean, it's kind of weird that as far as like the way we look, the technical aspect of it, actually, it came from Cancer or Gemini, actually. I mean, they're saying, though, that the viewpoint of where they snapped it from the Earth right here, right? That, I'll make people understand this better when you hear all this kind of shit. The reason why they're saying, we saw this thing come, and they're basing it on the way we do astrology. They saw it come. So this is, of course, Aries, Pisces, and Aquarius, right? As they're coming down, right? So, of course, from Earth's point of view, when it was like back here, they snapped it, and it came from Aquarius. It didn't come from there if you actually follow the orbits. No, technically, thing likes to swing closer to us than a lot of other stuff. But let's look at this date, because everybody's talking about it. Oh boy, they don't want to. I can't. Just let me fucking. Really? Can't change the, oh, thank you. There we go. Okay. Close. Time. 29th of October. I guess that might be closest to the sun. This thing's going to be coming on its way, though, afterwards, as we come into November. Oh, wow, that thing is going away. Weird. Right, so the closest to the sun right here. So look at that. They're not exact. They're on the opposite sides. Maybe there's another one if they're saying it's happening on the other side of the sun. And maybe I've got this thing wrong. But this thing, I know it's Swan 2025. Unless it's another one. And maybe it's that other Swan. I mean, how about I run all three Swans? Black Swans. Comets won't. This other one, that's up to, that's 2020. No. It has to be this one. Look at this. I mean, it is kind of swarming, but it is from heliocentrically, both on opposite sides. This one, though, going to be crossing over the R2 one that conjunction of Saturn, Neptune. So actually the Swan one's bringing in that understanding. The 3i Atlas is bringing in this way weird understanding. And, it's kind of interesting because that's going to be 3i Atlas in Libra at that time from the Earth's point of view. Yeah. When Venus gets into Libra, and we're going to see a conjunct Venus in Libra, the Sun will be in Libra too. You can just tell too by just understanding that we're on the way, right, towards the galactic center, right, and just understanding basics. So that's pretty wild. They're dueling objects coming in. Opposite sides, though, because somebody was trying to tell me, or somebody made a post like, oh, they're both going to be on the other side of the sun together. Well, from this, they're not. From this, they're not. I will finish with is there something to prepare for? Yeah. Your wildest imaginations. But those wildest imaginations can go bad based upon how much stress you have and fear that you have based off stress. So like this is really the 6 months where you'll be feeling like you're drowning because you are continuing to try and over flap your arms. You're trying to figure it out too much. Step back. Wait for the universe to show what's happening. And if John Dee were sitting here, if Nostradamus were sitting here, and they got to understand all this stuff fully and be able to track this stuff like we can now, they would just be like, what are you all fucking doing? I'm just going to be sitting and watching all the events happening and recording this and just spiritually in this magnificent dream state with all this. But most people today can't live that way at all. I think one more kind of like interesting observation just based off the astrology here, especially the cult, whether it's the cults of the media and the government stuff, is that let's just erase this for a second. Let's just think that this solar eclipse opposes that Saturn Neptune that's in that intercept between spaces, and the Earth is going to be right there. This is the point where we just realize, you know what? I'm stressed. If you're getting stressed over the stuff that's coming through these cults and stuff, of course they think it's end of days. All of them. They all do. And this is what the end of the age of Pisces into Aquarius is all about. And you're not going to have fun, one, getting lost in that, being so afraid of the end of days, and then really it's just this new world that starts, and then you're like, fuck, I was so stressed out for me to still be here. Am I left behind? There's going to be people who think they're left behind when they're not, right? If anything, there's people who left and couldn't spiritually handle it here anymore. This is what's causing the greatest evolution in our history. And we're going to see things that we never dreamt of, that we never thought of. And trust me, all the things that are bad that we all want exposed and all that will naturally, the rot will smell so much that enough things will move out of place because the smell gets so bad. We have to show up to each other with compassion and really realign our spiritual frequency and our spiritual of all spiritual alignments and get out of this fucking OCD. I think OCD is an interesting thing. I talk about it with my therapist a lot. Not all the time, but like not that OCD, but like, you know, he's always helped me like kind of like understand like, oh, I don't have that. Because, you know, ultimately you feel driven to do compulsive acts to ease your stress. This is going to be your biggest downfall. Even if you try to ignore or get rid of bothersome thoughts or urges, they keep coming back. This leads you to act based on ritual, cults. Right? OCD is just a big cult. The way they do all these religions, media, cults, all these cults that you're seeing everywhere right now. And this leads you to act on ritual. This is the vicious cycle of OCD. OCD often centers around certain themes, such as being overly fearful over getting contaminated by germs. To ease contamination fears, you may wash your hands over and over again, but this could also just be a thought you can't let go of, a person you can't let go of, and the thought. You know, it usually includes both obsessions and compulsions. And that's very much this Virgo, like, I just need to have the shift now, or I just need to, you know what, this restaurant, they don't serve what I need. And oh my God, they have this, they have the glucose in there, and they have this, oh my God. And then it's just like, relax. Are you going to fucking eat or not? Like, just, maybe your fucking colon is so fucked up. I'm using some astrology here and doing some like, really old ancient astrology here, because everybody takes the Hippocratic oath, and Hippocrates would probably look at you and just be like, man, you're so stressed. Of course your fucking Virgo intestines is going crazy. It's not the gluten, it's your stress. And you're stressed over the gluten because a fucking documentary told you about it. Right? But you can also have have only obsession symptoms or compulsion, but you may or may not know that obsessions and compulsions are beyond reason. That's what's so weird here, is the reasoning is actually in detachment right now and seeing a brighter spiritual, higher frequency. That's the only reason there is left. But they take up a great deal of time, reduce your quality of life, and get in the way of your daily routines and responsibilities. So actually, OCD does quite the opposite of what Virgo wants. OCD obsessions are lasting and unwanted thought that keep coming back, or urges or images that are intrusive and cause distress or anxiety. You might try to ignore them or get rid of them by acting based on ritual. That's exactly what fuels it. Fear of contamination or dirt. If I hang around a person who's MAGA, or if I hang around somebody who's liberal, they're contaminated in dirt. And then that's so anti-human, which is what we saw during Uranus and Gemini and the Nazi Party and all this shit, right? Doubting and having a hard time dealing with uncertainty. Oh, yeah, this is about uncertainty. We're only going to get the clues in the intuition in the moment. Needing things to be orderly and balanced. And something that actually is not helping you. And that's where Uranus and Gemini is kind of smacking this Venus. Like, you're trying to keep this orderly and it still is out of order all the time? This relationship, this whatever, like, find a different way. Aggressive or horrific thoughts about losing control and harming yourself or others. Damn, I don't... Careful. Unwanted thoughts, including aggression or sexual or religious subjects. Examples of obsession: fear of being contaminated by touching the objects others have touched, doubts that you have locked the door or turned off the stove, intense stress when objects aren't orderly or facing a certain way. Oh, yeah. Images of driving your car into a crowd of people. What, that one's weird. Thoughts about shouting obscenities or not acting the right way in public. Unpleasant sexual images. Staying away from situations that could cause obsession, such as shaking hands. This is the dark side of Virgo. And when you mix all this Pisces, yeah, mental health is a crisis on the planet. And you know what? The way through that, you need to relax for a second and realize that you've created a lot of these compulsive ideas and thoughts that's going to get rid of it. The idea of getting rid of the anxiety is not going to happen. You don't get rid of it. You move through it. You accept, and you have to receive here on the highest level. And you have to learn to receive. And you have to put yourself at this higher horizon, the horizon of eternity, to be able to see things, have a better understanding and view. And that's what a kite is. A kite, it's not about how hard that you put the kite up. The same way with sailing. It's not about how hard you put the sails out. It's about how you align the sails in a way that's with the flow, and not a specific way that has to be that way, but it's a feel, and it's something that really just goes with the way the waves are going, the way the winds are going. And kites are the same way. And kites, when you just delicately just let that thing get up there, it will just catch a long wind, and it could sit up on your beach chair for hours. And fly to these higher places, but you're going to stay grounded like a zeppelin. This is the astrology where we're going to start to see big crashes. We've already been seeing them, but this is the one where we start to see like the zeppelin, the big crashes that we saw in Germany. Like, especially when you're dealing with Jupiter and Cancer, that's too much, and blimps and travel and all that. You know, the pilot's stressed. And this is why, personally, I feel like AI is here, and why the job market's going to change is because humans have been acting like robots before robots existed. Focus on the arts, focus on music, there are so many easier ways to make your life while still holding integrity, and while still holding accountability and hard work, but hard work that pays off. Let's take a look, see what card we got here. I didn't even check this. I just got this new iPhone 17 Pro, and the only colors they had was, I got the orange one because I'm like, the silver looks bland and boring, and the blue is blue. I want a blue phone, or a silver one that's so like generic. So I haven't even like checked what's up on High Vibe or even on YouTube, and I know I'm live on both right now. Oh yeah, Jade and High Vibe. OCD is just trying to gain a sense of control, and there is no control here. Saturn, Neptune, and North Node in Saturn. It's not about gaining control. It's about getting on track with the opposite of the idea of being on track, right? Like just the spiritual filtration system of like, is this good for my life? Is this causing me more stress? Is this getting me all wound up, and I'm trying to control everything? And I'm trying to have the outcome that I want, the output that I want. That's a good point, Jade. Oop. Oh, there's people on YouTube, I guess. Any interesting ones? What kind of dark web do you get better from? If anybody's going to go on the dark web, you should do it correctly. You need to have a USB drive that you load at the beginning of start on a PC in your BIOS that's already built with the programs. That's how Edward Snowden does it. And the OS system is not Windows, it's not Linux, it's their own systems, and they have their own VPNs and browsers, and there is no way to trace anything. And it's not, if you're thinking you're smart and hacking and you're using anything like a Mac OS and Windows, you're not. Okay? So let's see what we got card-wise here. Oh. But yeah, so I do have readings still, and I have also High Vibe and Hypergate AI. Well, I mean, maybe I'll give you, while I'm shuffling, I'll put on the screen a little preview of what's to come here with Hypergate. Here's a preview. No, oh, we lost connection there. So funny. There we go. This is not out yet, by the way. This is running off my local computer, so I'm sharing it using Herd Expose. But of course, our memory system, remembering all your transits, the multi-chart you can run with AI, and all the different AI tools. Of course, the voice aspect that has my voice and all this other stuff on there. We've already moved to a full reasoning model, and we're moving reasoning with crazy agentic stuff. So there's a lot of stuff on the roadmap here in the next month. But you can save charts of pets, other people. Of course, you can take it wherever you want to go in the gateway. Of course, the most popular thing is the today, so it will give you all your aspects, and we like to show the actual math to show you it's exact, and then it's trained with 15 years of my data, and of course it's trained to actually understand, like, is this worth it? Are we within a degree orb? Are we within 2 degrees? Like, I'm pretty hardcore, so this isn't like CoStar or these other ones suggesting stilettos for a guy and the same voice about the same transit for 6 months on the pattern, right? That is just old, right? And this is just basic. And then it gives you like a full summary, and that goes off every day. Plus all my daily horoscopes are uploaded to train it all the time for over a year and a half. But why our astrology works and others fail, our timing is perfect. Most AI LLMs are guessing. You have to get rid of the guesswork in astrology and AI, and we did. And we are transparent with the math that you can see, and then we update it with the reality of not only the memory of transits and understanding that it knows all the transits you're going through, and that has to be properly done, because if you mess up one transit in the memory, it could ruin the whole horoscope for years to come forward. So that we have, and it's adaptive with what's happening with the new updates of how does a world event affect you? How does this relationship with that chart that you're in a partnership with? What are you guys going through to the second with alerts and so forth? So those are those things coming forward, even though you could like set that up now because we already do a lot of that stuff, but there's a lot of like little extra stuff. So we're working on enterprise stuff in the future as far as to be able to work into other AI astrology or just astrology stuff, but also other marketplaces, different alert systems that I've come up with of ingress windows and eclipse corridors and how it affects you in your chart. And then some pretty cool integrations everywhere else. So it's me and Jim doing this, and Jim I met through High Vibe and at Conscious Life Expo. And I think, hold on one sec. I don't know if that thing will still use my test here. I'm running this off my computer, but then sending it off a server test at. Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah, so for those already on Hypergate, but they're going to be super stoked. This whole new, much better system. But of course, you manage all your charts in here. this is, of course, I'm running this locally, so I don't have a bunch of charts to show, and it's not connected to a server that has that. Of course, all your memories of the passages and the personal stuff in there. The gateway is wherever you want to go. Like literally, like I use it to be an astrology tool that's like, where do you like where's Chiron on this date? 25 years from now, 100 years from now, boom. And how does that affect my chart with this and this and this and that? And then add another chart to it, or make me because this is also trained with all the prophecy schools I've done stuff, like make me a prophecy for 2 weeks from now about politics. It'll do it. The gateway is wherever you want to take it. And then, of course, the today, which runs right away to the chart or to the person's or anybody of all the charts that you have in there, right? So that's really cool because what you can do is you can like look at your own story and go into that, and this is where we show you, and there's personalization. So of course it has your own way to tweak it. So then we also give you the ability to tweak the astrology and the AI fully, right? And even when you want to create your own images, or, especially with these new models that we have, like I'm having fun with it, like helping me with immersive, like VR environments, astrologically based. And so we also have it to where we get your alignment right. Nobody else does. So we give you multiple charts to pick from, and you'll know your chart because we have a recommended, but this is the timing of UTC time has changed around the world for different countries and wherever people were born, and also different times of history when people were born. So we've got it to where we get your chart exactly what it is, and it doesn't mess around. And then you can add the charts in there, and then of course tweak it all and so forth. So and then of course your subscription password, but this is going to be enhanced tenfold with the agenic stuff that we're doing right now. But this is what I'm pushing out in the next, I don't know, probably this weekend to GitHub to at least be the new refresh. And Jim's refreshing some stuff in the background, and him and I have a whole secret roadmap of what the next version with it all is, and it's fucking badass. So if you're not on Hypergate AI, you are missing out completely. All right. Pretty proud of that. That's coding fully. There is no template for that. That is all code. All right. I'm not using a mouse to make that. There's no mouse. Like, just click that and put a picture here. And no, it's not like Wix. All right. But I'm not frustrated. I just think that it would be nice to see people actually, whenever you see all over the astrology community, like, astrology doesn't work. It works better than any astrology I've ever seen. Just, you have to build it, and it takes a long time. And it took beta testing it for a long time. And it took hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of users of beta testing it to actually finally get it right. We also have human design built in there. I didn't even put that on the website yet. I was just like, let's just get that out and the main functions, and then start to show people where it's going to go next. And, but yeah. With reasoning models, they're a little slower, right? If you go on ChatGPT 5 right now and go to thinking, guess what? It's not going to be like instant, but it's going to be exactly correct with the math, and know the orb exactly, and know where your planets are, and know, based off all the training I've done with it, like it knows everything about everything, right? It knows like that planet's already done with squaring that planet. That's already moved on. This is approaching. Like, it's not stupid. It's actually, I bet you Probably I'll set it up as a big PR like promotion thing. I'll have like a list of TikTok astrologers that think they're the shit. And I will just show up in the live in a battle of astrology with my Hypergate AI, and I will beat them. They'll get things wrong. I won't. That's how good it is. I will beat them. I will get more stuff covered. I will blow the people's minds more. And I'll be able to piggyback like 8 different charts at the same time while they're still on one. And I'll give them forecasts for 100 years out with what's affecting them. And then I'll be able to, when I do this at the end of the year, and be like, oh, by the way, this breaking news story that would just come into it right away, this is how it's going to affect you. The markets are dropping. And this, you shouldn't probably do this based off that. Like, it'll be faster than the TikToker could even fucking think they're fucking. They are so done now. Sucks, but a lot of people are going to be, you know, if they're not giving you the bomb, what's the point? All right, let's see what card we got here. Put on me now. I'm not stressing. I'll be honest. I've been very stressed today. My wife's had to deal with me stressed. There's been too much work. It was corporate tax week. It was just for me because I always file 6 months late, like, you know, on the extension, and fucking it's just been the app, the High Vibes notifications, third party got hacked by this major hack. Sent everybody this like free Palestine telegram thing that was like a fucking jihad thing. And I had to put up new apps and new APIs for notifications and all that. Didn't do a data breach, but it was just like, I have had a week and I'm just right now taking my time now because it's like there's no point in stressing and letting myself get more stressed. It's going to affect my family. It's going to affect myself. It's going to affect you all. Okay, what do we got here? Star card reversed. This is so Virgo. Pisces is very, Aquarius is the star card technically, but very Virgo. No, you're not going to answer your problems yourself. Clothed up, tinkering. You have to be in that bare spiritual state and just in that surrendered state and connecting up with something higher and not afraid of like what you'll lose, because the star card comes after the tower, right? It's always like, well, okay, you lost that. I've got nothing to lose, right? You gotta come from a place where it's like, if you're so afraid of losing things, well, that's Pisces. It's getting rid of what's not good for you. It's not getting rid of what's bad for you. So stop trying to save things by guiding your own crazy neurotic self here. That's something that's actually toxic and bad in your life. And we got the King of Pentacles. So I you know, it's kind of interesting because it's like the things that are solid are solid. Don't worry about them. It's when you start feeling like, I don't know if it's going to stay good. It's like you're going to now cause something that's stable to be unstable. You need to sit with security within yourself, and that's what draws in anything that you need right now. And that state of security is going to be what draws in beautiful things in your life. But if you're just stressed and neurotic and trying to get all wrapped up into this and spending all your time on blue sky and X and just like losing your mind, you're not going to go well right now. I appreciate you all very much. I'm sending you love to you, everybody in your life. Let's hope humanity shifts here right now, because there's problems on all sides of the spectrum, on all parts, on every aspect. There is no, this team's better than that one, and everybody is fucking got to find a way to come together and realize it's been very culty, leader, government, religious, media shit that's fucking you up. But I know this message will fall on deaf ears for the next 6 months for a lot of people, but you see. let's call it by April, at the end of April next year. So give me 8 months. There's going to be a lot of explaining to do by a lot of these cultish people. I appreciate you all. Much love. Definitely thanks for all the support for all the years. Leo King, High Vibe, whatever it's been, or Hypergate. Appreciate you all. Adios. Ciao.